Well, hello, and welcome to another episode by Financial Earning. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down some of Mullen Automotive's latest PRs, as well as discussing their import records and talking about one of their latest SEC filings. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so starting with this PR, this was back on July 22nd, 2024. I did take a little bit of time off, and there was quite a few PRs that did pile up between my last video and what I'm bringing you today. So let's go ahead and get into this first one here. This says Mullen announces Class 3 EV truck purchase from the city of Dublin, Ohio. It says Mullen is currently negotiating with multiple government agencies to provide its Class 1 and 3 vehicles and will be announcing additional orders over the current fiscal quarter. Mullen's commercial EVs align with the city of Dublin's vision to be the most sustainable, connected, and resilient global city of choice and has a long history of working to improve energy efficiency. So I think this was really good news. As far as I know, this is the first Mullen Class 3 truck actual sale. We did hear about some deliveries to Randy Marion. We also heard about some purchase orders going back quite a ways. And then we were told about some vehicles that were supposed to get delivered to customers. However, those did not get put on any of Mullen Automotive's revenue lines. So it'll be interesting to see this Class 3 truck on their earnings report coming out after this quarter and finishes up. Reading in a little bit further, this is a quote actually from John Hyatt. He is a fleet operations manager for the city of Dublin. He says the all-electric Mullen 3 is a perfect application for our use. For more than a decade, the city of Dublin has been at the forefront of transitioning to electric vehicles, and we believe that the Mullen 3 aligns with the city of Dublin's vision to be the most sustainable fleet nationally. And then here's a little bit of fact about the city of Dublin. It says the city of Dublin consistently ranks as a top fleet among the 100 best green fleets as ranked by the National Fleet Management Association Awards, including being ranked third in 2022, being awarded 8th place in the top 50 leading fleets from Government Fleet and ranking among top fleets according to Government Fleet magazine for 12 consecutive years. So this specific city does pride itself in being in the top when it comes to green fleets. So they are looking to have renewable, sustainable, I should say, type of fleet solutions. And you can see that, as they stated, Mullen Automotive's Class 3 truck definitely fits their envelope of what they're looking to do. So as you may know, Jacob Frenning has been out and about up and down the east coast of the U.S., visiting several government municipalities. So I think it'll be very interesting to see if some of those additional sales end up from some of the different drive and show events, as well as some of the small demos that Jacob has done with some of these government municipalities. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I did think that although this wasn't a large purchase, it was good to see a government entity, picking up one of these Mullen products, and hopefully word will spread and they will continue to make sales as stated here over this current fiscal quarter. All right, the next PR, this is a quick one just on Mullen's subsidiary Bollinger Motors announcing warranty coverage for their B4 chassis cab EV truck. This was put out on July 23rd, 2024. And you can see this is just a little note about the Bollinger B4. It's designed from the ground up with extensive fleet and upfitter input. Bollinger's unique chassis design protects the 158 kilowatt hour dual battery pack and components to offer unparalleled capability and safety in the commercial market. And then here's the important part, I think. It says the company anticipates deliveries of the Bollinger B4 to begin in the second half of 2024. So they didn't say production would begin in the second half of 2024, but that deliveries of the Bollinger B4 would begin in the second half of 2024. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm anxiously anticipating these deliveries to come out within the next few months. And then just to kind of share the warranty information that Mullen and Bollinger put out. They're doing a bumper to bumper, 3-year, 36,000 miles. Powertrain is going to be 5-year, 50,000 miles. The battery itself has an 8-year, 100,000 mile Air conditioning, 5-year, 50,000. Frame rails, cross members, 5 years, unlimited miles. Corrosion, again, only for perforation type of damage, has 5 years, unlimited miles. And then tires, 4 years, unlimited miles. So it's a pretty good amount of a warranty package that these customers are going to be able to get when they end up purchasing this Bollinger B4 truck. So although it didn't really do too much in terms of forecasting of revenue or anything of that nature, again, this is a PR just kind of setting the stage for the future when it comes to Bollinger. Just as they announced multiple dealerships, and now with this warranty and a few of their sales members, and we did also get a PR about the CEO, Robert Bollinger, stepping down, and then in his place, James Taylor. So Bollinger Motors has definitely been making some changes and kind of preparing for the production and deliveries of these B4 trucks for the second half of the year. All right, and another PR, this one was July 24th. It says Mullen announces European distributor Gamma purchases 29 Mullen Goes for Balkans region. So let's go down a little bit further in. We're going to see, again, talk about Mullen announces today Gamma, one of Mullen's international distributors, place an order for 29 Mullen Goes, company's commercial micro urban delivery vehicle. Orders valued at only $304,000, and the shipments are planned to begin in early August 2024. So it's a small amount of money for these vehicles. Each vehicle, is coming in just a little bit over the magnitude of $10,000 a piece. However, as these vehicles do make their way overseas and other potential customers do see them on the roads making their various deliveries, I do think it's going to be a good opportunity for future market saturation, maybe in the years in 2025, 2026. But one thing that I didn't necessarily prefer when I did read this PR is in this second paragraph here. It says Gamma's 29 unit Mullen Go order valued at $304,000 USD is part of the previously announced 53 unit commercial vehicle order consisting of urban delivery vehicles and commercial vans and trucks. So when I saw that PR, back a few months ago or weeks ago, I was assuming we were going to see the urban delivery vans, the campus vans, as well as the Mullen Class 1 van and the Mullen Class 3 trucks. I thought that mix of 3 vehicles was going to make up this 53 unit order. Of course, all 3 of those vehicles do have a higher sticker sale price, the MSRP price, compared to these Mullen Goes. However, the one benefit with these Mullen Goes is they are able to basically import and ship direct to Gamma with little to no need for any adjustments on the vehicles themselves. So really you're just going to see the Mullen logo and maybe some small other changes taking place. But for the most part, this vehicle really doesn't need to spend much, if any, time in the States. So it is a great way. It's a good revenue opportunity for Mullen with these Mullen Goes over in Europe. They don't have to be homologated. So again, although they are low dollar, I think there's a market there, of course, for these types of vehicles. Again, one other thing that was noted on this PR was that a 15% deposit was paid up front and the full payment will be due in early August when these are shipped to Gamma. So again, I love to see the words payment and deposit because that means that Mullen Automotive will be getting these funds and they should be showing up on the upcoming earnings report. All right, and then just yesterday's news, this is from July 29th, 2024. It says Mullen announces the purchase of Mullen Campus EVs by global transportation and logistics leader DB Schnecker. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Reading in a little bit further, this is one of the world's leading transportation and logistics companies. They've purchased 4 Mullen Campus electric vehicles. Randy Marion Automotive is one of Mullen's commercial vehicle dealers. They're in receipt of the payment, and they've delivered the vehicles to DB Schenker. One thing that has changed on the PR, if you did happen to catch the Mullen PR on their site, earlier yesterday, you would have seen that it also stated that vehicles currently in use on Intel's technology campus in Chandler, Arizona for mail and package delivery. Well, if you look on the Mullen website now and you go under their PR or their news, you're going to see that section's actually been taken out, and it just says plans for additional vehicle orders to follow. So I'm not sure if it was a request by DB Schenker to take that down, but I just wanted to kind of point that out. So if you are looking at various PRs, you may or may not see this reference to this Intel campus in Chandler, Arizona. And then reading a little bit further, again, Rated American Automotive was in receipt of payment in full and did deliver these 4 Mullen campus EV cargo vans. And then a little bit more about DB Schenker. It was founded back in 1872. They are a global leader with over 72,700 employees across 1,850 locations worldwide, working to shape transport and the exchange of goods through new, innovative, and sustainable ways for businesses and their supply chain management. Their integrated approach ensures that every step of the supply chain is optimized for success, from land transport to air and ocean freight, contract logistics, and supply chain management. With a goal to be carbon neutral by 2040, DB Schenker continuously invests in innovative low carbon land, air, and ocean freight solutions while improving resource efficiency in their warehouses. Together with its partners, DB Schenker is exploring the technologies which will enable the clean logistics of the future. You can see a picture of one of their delivery trucks at the bottom left. I grabbed off of their website, and then on the bottom right, you can see the excerpt from Mullen Automotive's PR. So again, this was only 4 vehicles, and they're campus vehicles. However, this is a very large company. So if they are pleased with the results of these 4 campus vans, I believe that there will be a good opportunity for Mullen to be able to provide them with some of their other product, as it does say here, plans for additional vehicle orders to follow. So I do believe this is one step past a pilot program. Now they're going to go ahead and take ownership of 4 of these campus vans, and then based off of probably a lot of feedback and a lot of usage of these vehicles, they're going to make a decision if they want to further invest in additional either Mullen 1, so they can go from campus to campus or from business to business for delivery purposes or other transportation purposes, as well as the opportunity to have the truck. So if they want to be able to increase their payload and stick with the Mullen vehicle classes, you're going to be able to get that Class 3 truck again. And as far as a range goes, the Mullen Class 1 van and the Mullen Class 3 truck have pretty similar ranges current state. As we do know, there is a battery swap program for the Mullen Class 1 van, which is looking to kick off sometime in 2025. So that would extend the range of the Mullen Class 1 van over 200 miles, about 205 miles, I believe. Whereas your Mullen Class 3 trucks, I believe you're sitting somewhere around 125, 130 mile range. So again, I think it would be very good to see additional orders coming in for DB Schenker. But in the meantime, this is a small victory for Mullen Automotive and their investors. However, hopefully this is a seed that is being planted, and it will have a substantial amount of growth in the months to come. All right, and speaking of planting small seeds, I did take a look at some of Mullen Automotive's import records, and it looks like on July 19th, they did receive 28 pieces, their spare parts for their Mullen Class 1 vans, and then 55 pieces for their Class 3 trucks. And if you do recall, based on the weight of the vehicle and based off of the weight of some of these shipping containers, you can estimate that basically it takes 2 pieces to make up one Class 3 truck. So they typically split the cab and chassis up during the shipment of these trucks. Therefore, you need to make sure that you divide that total amount by 2. Anyway, looking at some totals, so we'll start with the Mullen Class 1 van. If you recall back on January 22nd, 2024, the company did put out a PR that stated that they had delivered 230 Mullen 1s. So since that date, if you look at import records, they have imported some additional vehicles, 112 on July 15th and 46 vehicles on March 5th. So if you add, those two import records up with the 230 deliveries, you get a total of 388 Class 1 vans, which has a total MSRP sale price at $13,386,000. So again, it's good to see the total amount of potential revenue if these Mullen Class 1 vans were all sold. They are starting to accumulate a rather large amount. We do know they've had just a few sales, Native Poppy, and then I believe also one in Eco Auto. I believe there's still 386 of these Class 1 vans out for potential sale, folks. So only time will tell if there's a large commercial order in the workings or what. And then in terms of trucks, if you look at the total amount here, total shipping quantity was 565, but again, those are pieces, those are halves of the truck. So go ahead and divide that number down. You're going to get about 282. So 282 Class 3 trucks have been imported total. We do know that they had the one truck that just went to Dublin, Ohio. So again, folks, 281 potential Class 3 trucks available for additional sale and revenue. And those 282 make up a total of $19,317,000 in terms of potential MSRP sale price. So again, combining those two together, you're talking a little over maybe 32 million and change in potential revenue just on the Mullen Class 1 vans and the Mullen Class 3 trucks. We have seen some of these urban delivery vans as well as these Mullen Goes now getting delivered overseas or to other various customers, as was just mentioned with DB Schenker. So again, it's going to be an interesting revenue quarter. I don't think the earnings coming out in August are going to have a very large substantial amount just based off of Mullen's PRs. However, I do believe that we should see a better turnout in this next earnings quarter. So if you do the math there, we're talking July, August, and September, and that would actually be their end of their fiscal year. So again, that typically comes out a little bit later than the 10Qs come out. That 10K, if you recall, I believe it came out sometime in mid-December to early January. So it'll be interesting to see the type of sales that shows up on that specific quarterly earnings. And again, it'll be nice to see the total summary for the year there. But again, that is quite a ways away between now and then. The expectation is that there should be some PRs with some of these Bollinger B4 trucks getting delivered. And then hopefully we should see a significant amount of deliveries for some of these Class 1 vans and Class 3 trucks. But again, that is just my wishful thinking as an investor who has bullish sentiment with the company activities. But let's talk a little bit about a filing. All right, so a filing did come out. This is an S1 that was filed. So this has to do with some additional share offerings. A couple things I wanted to point out, and this was as of July 25th, 2024. We did get an updated common share count, and that is 24,859,163 shares. So it's a rather large increase from the last share count that was shared with investors. But if you look at this S1, this is for registering 85 million shares of common stock. If you read here, it says the additional shares of our common stock included in this prospectus are being registered for resale pursuant to the terms of the registration rights agreement to cover additional shares of common stock that may be issuable under the anti-dilution provisions contained in the terms of the notes and warrants described herein under private placement of notes and warrants. So if you do recall back when the initial offering for this S1 was put out, it was for about $50 million, and they were going to be for promissory notes with warrants attached. Well, since that time, the share price has dropped significantly. If you recall, it was around the $6 range back when that S1 was filed for this promissory note. Fast forward to July 25th, I believe it was around $1.20 or so. Today actually was a decent day for a Mullen investor. If you happen to make a purchase within the last few days, you had a chance to make some gains. Got back up to about $1.34, $1.35 or so. So it's still a long ways away from the initial S1 filing that we received back in May. So just wanted to keep you all up to date in terms of these filings. And a couple of things that were excluded from the filings that I thought, excluded from this common share count would be any of the converted Series A3 stock, converted Series C preferred stock, converted Series D preferred stock, and then any shares of common stock for conversion of exercise of these notes and warrants. So again, if there's any pending shares that haven't been exercised, any promissory notes that haven't been converted yet, those are not included in the common share count. And then a very large, substantial amount would be for this share of common stock. So this was an SPA between Mullen and Isusa. This is the ELOC, and if you're not familiar with what an ELOC is, it is an equity line of credit. So Isusa did give Mullen Automotive an equity line of credit. So Mullen is able to sell shares to Isusa at their discretion. There is some various stipulations for the selling of those shares, but they could sell up to a total of $150 million worth. So again, if the price is $1, it's 150 million shares. Now, originally when this SPA was put out, share price was closer to about $2, so it was registering about 75 million shares of common stock in order to convert this equity line of credit in completion. Again, what else is excluded from the common share count would be any shares of common stock issued for CEO performance award agreements. So any of those performance award agreements that have not been converted yet, those are not part of this 24.859 million common shares. And then the last section is a total of 21,508,130 shares of common stock for future issuance for the company's 2022 equity incentive plan. So again, that's a rather large amount of shares that have not been converted over yet to common shares. So that is the information that we got from the S1 filing, as well as an updated amount of shares prior to this new offering and then after. So the reason why the share count is increasing is because of the decline in the stock price. So because this specific promissory note with warrants has the anti-dilutive clause, and because those warrants are convertible for a specific price according to when that filing or when the initial agreement was made, there is a very large multiplier in terms of how many total shares each of these lenders can get based off of whatever the day price is when they exercise those warrants. So I'm not going to read through it all, but you can see the listing of the selling stockholders down at the bottom right. You can see the first column there is the shares owned prior to this offering. So again, this offering is based off of the anti-dilution. So based off of all the warrants that these selling stockholders were holding, those warrants are worth a specific amount of dollars per share. And because the share price has been dropping, they are eligible for additional warrants. So that is part of this rather large increase for the maximum number of shares of common stock offered pursuant to this prospectus. So again, that just puts it into perspective. If you think about it, again, going from $6 down to about $1.20 or so. Whenever there's warrants attached, if you recall last year, there was additional prospectus release that had warrants. That does do a form of what you would call a spiral in terms of dilution. So it's a death spiral. So it's not a good thing anytime that there are warrants attached to different SPAs. However, as a company that is looking to generate capital, that is a way that you are able to entice certain stockholders to basically invest into your company, is by providing them these warrants. And anytime that they have anti-dilution clauses, it just protects the investor. It doesn't protect the stockholder, but it protects these investors that are putting up this money up front. Again, this was over $50 million that these investors were putting up front. So promissory notes and warrants were tied to that. I was very happy, very pleased to see that the ELOC with eSousa did not have any warrants at all attached to that. It is just an equity line of credit. They are able to purchase those shares at a discount. I think it was about 6% discount. But the fact that there's no warrants there means that there's not going to be this type of dilutive spiraling going on. So again, I think overall, just wanted to give you this update. I'm going to be very interested to see how these selling stockholders decide to hold their shares as well as their warrants over the next few months. But we'll just all have to wait and see. Just wanted to make sure that I informed you all of this information on top of the PRs and top of the import records. It's good to know about these filings. So hopefully it helped bring you a little bit of clarity. This is just a couple snippets from the filing. By all means, definitely go onto the sec.gov website, go to the Edgar filing search Mullen, pull up this S1 yourself, read through it all. There is some sections about risk involved when investing in this type of prospectus. So I think it's important as an investor that you're all informed in those circumstances. All right, and that wraps it up for me. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this video. If you'd like to hear about other content, by all means, leave me a comment for that as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And again, this is not financial advice. I'm just providing an update on some of Mullen Automotive's activities. Again, I am not a paid representative of Mullen Automotive. I receive no compensation from the company whatsoever. I am just a mere investor in the company and like to provide my take on news as it breaks for this company. And I will see you all on the next one.